Hello everyone and welcome back guys to the finale of our F1 2020 McLaren driver career mode. Yes, I'll be honest, I didn't think we'd ever see this day on F1 2020, but 44 episodes in, it is officially time for the final race of the McLaren RTG. Obviously, if you missed out on the last couple of videos, definitely would recommend going back and checking them out. Here in Abu Dhabi, it's all settled. We've got nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Drivers' Championship is all booked up. Constructors' Championship is all booked up. Again, just like in Brazil last time around, we're going to be starting from the very back, ready for this one here today. Obviously, hopefully we can have a bit of fun. Hopefully a bit of a better race, though, than Brazil. Yeah, obviously, if you missed out on that one, definitely would recommend going back and checking it out. Not my finest showing, I think we'll all safely agree, but still a fun race, nonetheless. But yeah, heading to Abu Dhabi, though, 44 episodes. Done and dusted, just like that. It's our first sort of proper career mode, I guess you could say, that's finished on F1 2020. Again, you know, we've got more and more plans coming in the future. That's one of the main reasons, actually, why I'm doing this video today, rather than a My Team video. Hopefully next week we're going to be starting a new series on the channel. There's plenty of exciting stuff to be looking out for over the course of April. MotoGP 2021 is meant to be released in a couple of weeks as well, so going to be diving on into that. As well, for the more eagle-eyed viewers of you that obviously sort of look at the camera, hello, this is my face, you'll notice I've actually changed my mic, so this is potentially going to be a bit of a testing session as well, obviously to make sure that everything is working alright, and I thought this video isn't too bad if something's a little bit off or things like that, rather than it ruining sort of the My Team series as we're in a really critical point in that series. But yeah, a less waffle, let's dive in then. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, let's finish the season with a high.
Welcome to the Yas Marina circuit for the finale of another thrilling Formula One season. It's been a breathtaking year, and we end it at a track that's been the scene of many glories and heartbreaks over its history. It's time to end the season in style. It's time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 21 corners and a lap distance of just over 3.4 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass, with long straights and DRS zones in two places, turns 8 and turn 11. Plenty of close racing then, plenty of speed, and I hope plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What a season they've had. A well-deserved championship victory, and the pressure now surely off, with the title already in the bag.
I agree it's been a truly impressive season, but championship or no, I don't think they'll be gently cruising around to the finish line. In fact, with points no longer a concern, there's a lot less to risk, so we may even see a more aggressive approach.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Sergio Perez and Ricciardo, Verstappen, Gasly, Vettel and Alexander Albon, Stroll, Ocon, Daniel Kvyat and Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Grosjean, George Russell and Kimi Raikkonen, Latifi and Mr. Monaco. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Okay, we've already won the championship, so relax and enjoy this race.
So everyone then apparently getting aboard the chill hype train that is the finale of the McLaren RTG, and that does mean if I decide we're going to dive bomb Danny Kvyat early on, get spun out, cause a roadblock, get angry, finish P14. We can get him on board that. We love that life at the end of the season. We put in all the hard work throughout the first 20 races. We get 2 surely at the end of the year, but we can have a bit of fun with it nonetheless. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Going to half and half the strategy, mediums to softs at the end of the day. We're going to go a lap of spare fuel as well. Might go a little bit more than that just in case we need to perform some overtakes. We're probably going to need to perform some overtakes. It's worrying that our mindset is that chill that we're going to sit P20 all day. But yeah, hopefully we get a nice clean start. Again, a massive thank you for the support throughout the entirety of this series. Let's try and finish it on a high here in Abu Dhabi. Season's 1 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix finished with us on our roof. Or the halo even, I should say. But it is 5 lights, and away we go for Season 2's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And hopefully, yeah, this one can be a whole lot better. Down in towards turn 1, we won't go too aggressive with the dive bomb, but we will have a look up the inside of Raikkonen and Latifi. There is Raikkonen actually started this Grand Prix on a set of mediums like myself, so an interesting strategy from the Alfa Romeo team. Down in towards turn 4 and sector 2, up the inside of George Russell. Going to give us a big old squeeze, but hopefully, I mean, everyone's just absolutely parking the bus. We'll try and get past all the backmarker cars as early as possible. 3 wide through the hairpin, but we are now up into P14, where we finished last week, and there it is. The man, the myth, the beast, Danny Kvyat himself. Yeah, hindsight, that crash last week was probably as much my fault as it was his. I think we're a bigger person now, we can admit that. In this series, as he was braking earlier than I was expecting, Stroll's also on the mediums. That is interesting to see. This time around, though, we've managed to navigate Danny Kvyat with no contact whatsoever. So I'm into P13 already, then. We're already halfway around lap 1 in this Grand Prix, so a very, very good start for ourselves. Lando up in the lead there, but that's a Ferrari, and that's Charles Leclerc up in P3 at this early stage of the Grand Prix there, so a fantastic start by him. I'm sure he's very, very happy with that. Obviously, Ferrari needs some big points this weekend. There are still a couple of battles going on. Racing Point and Renault separated by 6 points, if I'm not mistaken, heading into the finale. Or really, I should say Renault versus Sergio Perez. Ferrari and Red Bull as well, very, very close. I think 2 points maybe between those two teams. They've had a really good battle throughout the entirety of this season. Not quite where they want to be battling, but still a battle nonetheless. They're currently, I think, squabbling over P5 and P6 as end of lap 1. Lando Norris sets fast lap of the Grand Prix. Stroll kicks the back end now. But we have survived, and we're already in a higher position than we got to at any point last week. Lando Norris at the front of the field, just slowly opening up that gap to the guys behind him as we cross the line to finish off lap 2. We're actually struggling, well, struggling's a bit strong, but we haven't made as much progress on Lance Stroll as I'd probably like to at the start of this Grand Prix as we head down through turn 2 and turn 3 of lap 3. We need to be close enough to the Racing Point to try and go for something down the straightaway this time around. Obviously now DRS has been enabled, or we could be a little bit cheeky. No, we won't do that. We thought about trying to get the DRS and then trying to perform the move as well. But not quite able to do it this time round. Hopefully we can get a good run on Lancelot Stroll as we head up the back straight. We are the first back straight. We are gaining a lot, but obviously that Racing Point, a very quick car down the straights as well, as Ocon's got no DRS. Oh, it's a big dive coming in. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. That was, in the end, quite an aggressive move because Stroll does what Stroll does and turns in. I must admit, we committed to it late, but still, I think he probably could have seen us coming in that instance, but we have got through with no contact, or no damage anyway, up into P12 here. And now we've got Esteban Ocon with no DRS. Should be a bit of an easier target. Here we go, Esteban Ocon, lap 4. Oh, I thought he was going to give us a room on the outside there. We could try and ruin his run through the hairpin, but not quite the way it's worked out. Try and get a big run out onto the straightaway anyway, and you can see just how much power we've got. Despite the fact we've got equal power units in the back of these cars, the extra upgrades we've been able to make over Renault have given us a huge advantage. DRS is, of course, helping as well. No, just about on the marks into the braking zone, and we're up into 11th then of the Grand Prix, but Ocon now might get a chance to come back. There's no. Somehow we find the grip on the curbing there on the exit of the back straight chicane. And we're now up into 11th place in the Grand Prix, only about 3 more laps on the harder tyres as well, as we are still struggling a little bit to get the car placed where I want it to be. But second half of the Grand Prix, hopefully we can absolutely fly. Don't do that. Right, let's find out what the top end speed of the Red Bull is like as we head down the back straight once more. We are gaining in on Alexander Albon, but obviously he's got some DRS off Sebastian Vettel just in front of him. Might be close enough. We're going to go for it. Clean up the inside of Alex Albon there, and unlike Stroll, he doesn't turn in. And that was a beautiful little dive bomb, if I do say so myself. No lockups as well. Rather happy with that one. Next up, Sebastian. Almost having a look around the outside of Seb through the hairpin there. We have actually found the room around the outside through the hairpin. Not too sure I've ended up here, but it is going to be a drag race between myself and the Ferrari. Down the back straightaway, obviously where most of the moves are going to be made over the course of today. We're still side by side though, obviously DRS, so it is pretty much just a pure drag race. And around the outside we go, give him a big old squeeze towards the inside curb. But I'm in a P9 of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We could still end up finishing P4 here, maybe. Just maybe we could still get a podium. Oh, there we go. Lando is into the pits at the end of lap 6. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more cars diving into the pit lane. There goes Verstappen as well. Actually, a lot of people staying out, though, in this Grand Prix. So we might get held in a little bit of traffic, as it is now a Mercedes 1-2 in this Grand Prix. But Lando should have, obviously, some clear track ahead of him as well. Well, obviously he does rejoin the circuit, but this is now where we obviously really need to push. See if we can try and get past Pierre Gasly on this lap. I don't think he's going to get any DRS off Daniel Ricciardo in front of him. So just clipping the curb there, and a little bit of a wobble from the back end. You can just see pretty much having to straighten up the steering lock, and it was still pivoting around on the rear end there. But has Gasly got DRS? No, he does not. Tremendous traction though out of the hairpin. The Honda seems to have so much lower speed torque out of it, but that's not going to help him too much as we slot up the inside, and we slot ourselves up into now 6th place, the Grand Prix. Net P8, I want to say, but it's going to be close between us and Verstappen. Down in towards the final sector, we're pretty much all over the back of Danny Rick now as well, so these mediums are still working pretty well at the moment. But on the other hand, we may as well pit nonetheless and try to enjoy the new tyres there. I think it's Bottas that's dived into the pit lane. It might actually be Hamilton though saying that. It's still actually guys staying out for another lap in the Grand Prix, so the pit lane might not be as congested as I originally thought it would be. I've still got a couple more cars behind us diving in. I think this is going to be the lap still. Probably a lot of cars are going to pit, but we did hold up Hamilton in that instance. 2.8 second stop. No one holds us up as well. That is perfect, and we've definitely gained some ground there. Perez, we've been able to get past Ricciardo, I think. No, Ricciardo stayed out, didn't he? So we've got a little bit closer, though, to Sergio Perez as we head back out of the pit lane. And one good thing about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix circuit, and we're still in 10th place here. Now, obviously, we're going to have some fresh rubber as well, some very quick rubber as well. Hopefully, we can try and get past Perez down the back straight, obviously, because that racing point is going to be difficult to get round otherwise. Let's just wait and see. Oh, look how much grip we've got as we get towards the apex there through the hairpin so early and gain so much on Sergio Perez just in front of us. Now with the DRS as well, surely there's not going to be much he can do, especially with none to defend himself with. He is going to go defensive. Perez, always a fighter in the world of Formula 1. That's why I love him for it. But in towards the hairpin again, clean around the outside, or not the hairpin, chicane even I should say. But we're under 9th once more, and I think that should be what, like net P5? We might just get Ricciardo as well. There we go, last remaining cars into the pit lane as we reach lap 9 of the Grand Prix. So they really have gone quite a fair old way on their soft compound tyres there. But where are we going to re-emerge in this Grand Prix? Purple in Sector 2 and Sector 3. There is a couple of cars heading back out of the pit lane. We might be able to get ourselves up to P4, and I think we have. I think Perez has also got the undercut on Charles Leclerc as well there, so potentially a very critical move in the battle between Renault and Racing Point there, as Perez now up into P5 of the Grand Prix. We're only a second behind Lewis Hamilton in this race as well. The podium's definitely on here. This might be new fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we head in towards the final couple of turns, closing in. Huge rate of knots on Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. And there we go, 134.0. Almost dipping into the 133s. Hopefully now will be the lap we get round Hamilton. It's now the Merc. There's just nothing he can do at this stage of the race. Hopefully we can just get a good run, manage the wheel spin on the exit of the hairpin there, and let's go. Come on, Lewis Hamilton. Accept your fate, man. Accept Mercedes aren't quite the dominant force they once were. Round the outside we go. We should be clean ahead of him before we even get into the braking zone. Yes, we are. Hamilton concedes the position, and we're up at a P3 over the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 4.5 laps to go here. And could we finish the season with a perfect 1-2 for the team? Bottas 2.6 up the road. It's certainly doable. 133.2. We are in a different league at this stage of the day. Could potentially the win still be on the table here? We are flying at the end of this race. We might just be close enough to go for a move on Bottas down the second half of the straightaway here, but we are going to have to pretty much use all of our overtake mode to try and make something happen. And if we can, we might just be able to close up to Lando by the end. Oh, a bit deep in towards the chicane there. That's going to compromise our exit, but Bottas doesn't get a good run either. So we're going to use all the overtake mode we've got at our disposal down this second straightaway here, down to 5%. We might have to go for a bit of a cheeky send on Valtteri Bottas. Oh, way too deep. And we'll have to let him back through. Not going to be able to claim that position in that moment. Almost spin it by ourselves. Lost a lot more time there than we probably needed to. But yeah, I think this one now is definitely about consolidating P2 if we can. Rounding the final couple of corners then to start the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's always tradition on the channel to make sure we've right on board with the final entire lap of the season. But this time round, there could actually be a little bit more at stake. Bottas has started taking time out of Lando just in front, and we are still taking time out of Valtteri Bottas towards the end of this Grand Prix. Almost had a bit of a twitch over the curb there. But look at how much Bottas is closing in on our teammate here. We need to try and get the DRS on the fin. I think we just about have, but we were way too deep through the hairpin there, and Bottas seems to have found all the place at the end of the season there. You might actually be able to have a go at Lando at the end of this Grand Prix. We've completely bottled it. P2 is out the window right in the dying stages here in Abu Dhabi. Again, good job it doesn't make too much difference at the end of the season. But yeah, Bottas has saved up all his battery and is really going for it on the final lap of the Grand Prix. But what a season it's been nonetheless. Obviously, I know we've spoke about it a couple of times before, but the battle back and forth between ourselves and Mercedes, I think this race probably goes to sum it up. Lando Norris leads comfortably early on. McLaren led comfortably early on. Mercedes then tried to come back with a bit of a challenge later on in the championship, but it's a little too late. And then really, just towards the end of the season, a couple of extra upgrades we put on have given us that little advantage that we desperately needed at the end of the season. I think we've won, what, 5 maybe of the last 6 Grand Prix? Might be all 5, of the last 5 actually, to finish off the season. But round in the final corners, Lando Norris is going to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Valtteri Bottas tucked up behind him. One more lap, the Finn might have had him, but we come through the final corner and we are of course world champion.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
That's it then. They've taken the win here as we wrap up another fantastic Formula One season. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They demonstrated a very delicate touch in close proximity to other cars, as well as showing a lot of maturity and patience in difficult situations.
Nothing can challenge the leaders of the Constructors' Championship at this point, but with that result, McLaren can no longer be touched at the top of the table. They've had their ups and downs this season like all teams, but they've weathered the storm and come out on top. McLaren are world champions once again. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we go then. It only took 23 years, but McLaren are back on top in both championships. It's kind of mad, actually, when you think about it, that it was 1998 McLaren last won of Constructors' Championship, but we have done it officially on F1 2020, and how fun has it been there. Lando Norris wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to show that McLaren still, at the end of the season, are on top there. Valtteri Bottas P2, myself third ahead of Lewis Hamilton, in a bit of a quiet fourth place there at the end of the day. Sergio Perez basically did what he did all season and finished best of the rest there. He, to be honest, might well be my driver of the season as well there. Charles Leclerc sitting ahead of Danny Rick, Verstappen, Gasly and Vettel rounding out your top 10 there. You can see your rest of your finishers. Albon in 11th, Esteban Ocon, Stroll, Kvyat, and then of course you've got Gio Magnussen, Russell Raikkonen, Grosjean and Latifi there. Everyone making it to the end of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is always nice to see as well there. Championship-wise though, 30 points the gap did come down to at the end of the season. So, yeah, maybe it paints a bit of a closer picture than it really was as well there. Lewis Hamilton did crack the 300-point mark, though, as well, on 304. Bottas, obviously, in P4 there, only actually 31 behind his teammate. No, 29, sorry, behind his teammate there at the end of the season. So Bottas was closer to Hamilton than Lando was to ourselves at the end of the day. Perez, 204 points as a midfielder is absolutely insane as well. The fact that he averaged, what's that, just under 5th place all season is ridiculous as well. They're finishing just ahead, well, I say just ahead, 48 points clear of Daniel Ricciardo there. Verstappen in 7th place there, you can see, on 130 points. Charles Leclerc on 114 ahead of Ocon on 88, Seb on 66, Gasly on 56, and Albon down in 12th on 43 there, just ahead of Lance Stroll on 41 there. And yeah, Lance Stroll 41 to Perez's 204 is very, very alarming there. Kvyat on 12, again, not a particularly good season by him, just very, very quiet all the way throughout there. And then you can see Romain Grosjean with that 1 critical point for Haas means they finish ahead of Alfa Romeo there. Giovinazzi in 16th, Raikkonen in 19th, and of course Williams there 18th and 20th, with Magnussen in 17th place. Constructors-wise though, there is moves. There is moves at the end of the year there, and that undercut by Perez and Racing Point, absolutely critical come the end of the season there, as that does mean Racing Point pit Renault by 1 point to finish P3 overall in the Constructors' Championship. We finish on a solid 750 there, very, very clear out front, ahead of Mercedes on 579. Like we said, yeah, Racing Point 245 to Renault's 244. Ferrari on 180 there, do beat Red Bull on 173. Yeah, just Red Bull, Max Verstappen was never particularly that explosive, and then of course Albon was pretty mediocre throughout the entirety of the season. They do still finish 105 clear of AlphaTauri in 7th there. Haas in 8th, obviously with that 1 point, and then Alfa and Williams rounding out your top 10 on no points apiece there. Goes to show just how dominant it really was, pretty much between the top 6 teams. Gasly was able to get there sometimes as well, but yeah, very, very much 6 teams scoring all the points at the end of the season. But there we go then. The McLaren RTG is finished. We've done it. A massive thank you again to all of you guys for the support on this series. Now, it was meant to just be sort of a side piece to our My Team career mode, but it has been incredibly good fun to do nonetheless here on F1 2020. We'll probably do it again on F1 2021 with a different team. We might go back to McLaren, but again, we've got other teams that we need to bring back to the forefront of Formula 1 nonetheless. But yeah, thank you all so much for the continued support on all the work we do on the channel. It really does mean the world to me as well. And yeah, we will be back very, very soon. Like I said, brand new series hopefully going to be kicking off next week. My Team as well, we're going to be back over the weekend. It's all going to be good. You guys do not want to miss it. Just because the McLaren RTG is over doesn't mean there's not a lot of fun to be had on the channel nonetheless. Thank you all once more, and I will see you all very, very soon for another video. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.